Hi teachers, welcome to the spring 2018 edition of the Co-Planning and Co-Teaching series. In this brief video, I want to give you a few reminders. Number one, we didn't talk much about how you are going about your co-planning and then how you're doing your co-teaching in our initial lesson planning meeting that we had on Zoom. I wanted to make you aware of this because this is a question that you're going to be asked in your pre-observation plan that you'll be filling out with me. As far as our co-planning, co-teaching lesson facilitations go, which we'll be doing this for the next 6 weeks, as a student in this classroom, first, be prepared to have reading prior to the co-plan, co-teaching lesson facilitation. I really do hope that some of the co-plan, co-teachers will use some of the available articles for their literacy piece to help engage you in learning prior to coming to class about that particular topic. Also, please provide constructive and timely feedback to the teachers. And as the lessons progress, please think about the academic content language that you are hearing in each of the lessons. Make note of this. This is also one of the reasons why I want you to keep track of the feedback that you do give, because this will be your notes for Seed 408 in electronic form. One last thing, an issue that developed, but I want to nip it in the bud before it begins. Your peers are the teacher. Please make certain that you are arriving early to class rather than around 8 o'clock. I've taught enough that it doesn't bother me, but I think it's really disrespectful to your peers if you're showing up late. So please don't do that. As far as the topics that are going to be discussed, we have 12 topics. I want you to remember that what you're going to be hearing about is just the tip of the iceberg, just the tip. There might be information that you hoped would have been addressed, but do not use that in the feedback. Appreciate what you learned, and then you, on the other hand, can go out and do your own investigation about what you hope to learn. I have made up a little handout that I emailed to your education professors, and I hope that you encourage them to come in and observe you while you are doing your co-planning and co-teaching. I am so proud of the work that you have done, and I want to share your good facilitation with a larger audience than just our class. Please invite them. Reflecting from fall 2017, there were a couple of painful learning lessons. So first off, with the lessons that are being facilitated, be prepared for anything. I put up there that learning is sometimes uncomfortable, and the reason for that is last semester, to me, the very most effective lesson was one that made some people uncomfortable. First off, if they felt that way, they should have said something. And then when it came to providing feedback for the people, they were negative, and instead of giving them a decent score, they put them down like a 4 out of 10, which is one of the reasons why I just took the whole rating piece of the co-planning, co-teaching away. That's not what we're going through this for. We're trying to help each other grow as learners and grow as teachers. You want to grow, and in order to do that, you need to get feedback that will help you grow. And so first off, I put on there, does it have to be all positive? Of course not, because is that going to help the person grow? One other thing that we'll probably have is classroom management issues. I want you to be thinking, what would you do when you're up there? I went around and I picked up lots of stress balls during the teacher fair just for our co-planning and co-teaching, because that's a strategy you can use with someone that is having issues. Derived from are going to just come from the pbisworld.com website that you have been introduced to previously. This is not the main focus of the co-planning and co-teaching, but I do want to give you some exposure to having to think about, well, what would I do if this situation should happen? And it might happen to you while you're doing your lesson facilitation. The PPAT verbs. When you're doing step 1, planning the lesson, what verb tense should you have? When you're doing step 3, the focus students, what verb tense? And task 4, step 2, implementing the plan, what verb tense? And then lastly, when you're reflecting. So just as a reminder, and for that, particularly with task 4, step 1, this is going to be a matter of just copying and pasting. So copy the specific items from your lesson plan into task 1, but then you will write sentences about that and make certain that you include the content of the question in your response. What raters will look for is, where is the evidence? That's all they put down. And what I've recommended a couple of my interns to do is to, after you've written your task step, highlight where you can find that information in your writing. If you can't, and you've got a whole bunch there, what's that telling you? So just be to the facts, have the evidence. It's all about evidence there. Likewise, when you're filling out your self-assessment rubric, the same thing. You don't have to write me explanations on why you think you deserve this particular part or score for each of the parts. I want the evidence. Just copy and paste it, because you're showing, you're giving proof there. Any questions that you have on your visual aid should be in your lesson plan, and likewise, if they're on your lesson plan, put them on your visual aid. Copy and paste. And lastly, I just want to remind you, I'm just very proud of the work that I've seen you do so far with your lesson facilitation, and I want you to just keep moving forward in your learning. The new phrase that I'll have for this work is walk the talk. You may have heard the saying, you're not supposed to just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk, which means you have to do it. Well, walk the talk, that's what that means. So if you're in your writing, you're saying that you're going to ask questions, but there's no questions shown in that step, you're talking the talk. You need to have that evidence in your work. Thank you for listening, and